Now, you may have been wondering how the Israelites got to Egypt. Now, that's a funny story.
Back of the net.
Our story begins in ancient Israel, where a small family of nomads are having an argument. Grrr. The gist of it is, the older brothers hate their younger brother Joseph. So, they take him, bloody his coat, and then throw him in a well, hoping that someone will come along and possibly take him away. Thankfully for Joseph, otherwise he would have died, someone did just that. Soon, some other nomads travelling from the east came and collected Joseph and took him off to Egypt, where they sold him into slavery. Many things happened while he was in Egypt, but basically, with a little help from God, and also some strange dreams and some good contacts, Joseph managed to become the second most important man in all of Egypt, right under the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Thankfully, down to some dreams, Joseph managed to save Egypt from a mighty famine. And everyone was able to live okay, considering that everyone in the surrounding areas were dying of hunger.
Pie.
Joseph's father and brothers, who had long forgotten him and thought that he was probably dead, came to Egypt looking for food because they had heard that they had done unusually well during this hard time. When Joseph's brothers came to Egypt, they didn't recognize who this great man before them was, so they pleaded with him for some food. He, on the other hand, recognized who they were and played along with the game. Eventually, after an emotional time with his old family, he revealed to them who he was, and they were greatly joyed. So he said, "Get my father and bring him over here to Egypt, and we can live prosperously where I am the king." So Joseph, his brothers, his father, all his cousins, and everyone else lived there in Egypt in a special piece of land. They had babies, and their babies had babies, and their babies had babies who had babies, who had babies, and eventually there were so many Israelites in Egypt, there was a whole nation of them there, living in harmony next to the Egyptians. And that's how there's a large population of Israelites in Egypt where our story begins. Many years later, the Egyptians saw how many babies the Israelites had had, and they were frightened that soon they would be overrun and captured themselves. So they said, "Right, take all these babies and throw them into the Nile River."
This is pretty much the worst video ever made. Gosh!